All righty. Grand Rising, everyone. This is Ron. It is Saturday, September 13th, a little after 10 a.m. Let's start the day off with questions, see what we have, and go from there. Anybody? Lots happened this week. Anything jump out at you? Anything you want to discuss?
I got something.
Okay.
Um, hey everyone. I'm sure you all saw, if you don't know who he is, Charlie Kirk was assassinated this week.
What?
And if you don't know who he is, basically he's Rush Limbaugh, but for Gen Z, you know. Um, I just bring that up because I sort of don't know what to make of that. I don't know if that means it's a shift in the positive direction. Well,
Nope.
that's what instinctually it tells me, but it is a sort of in and of itself a chaotic negative event.
I think it both, Nick.
Yeah.
I think it both. It depends on what side of the spectrum you're on.
Mm. But
Elaborate.
Go ahead.
it definitely had a some sort of catalyzing effect.
It's September.
Mm-hmm. Very unexpected. And I say unexpected because generally anything that happens that affects mass consciousness in a sort of very emotional or charged way is something that is something that I believe is basically permitted or not permitted from higher levels, for lack of a better term, from higher realms that determine, overall what is permitted and what is not permitted based on what needs to happen. So this being a particularly emotionally charged event for so many people indicates that some kind of shift has happened. Like I said, it's and like you said, Pastor Richard, probably both. But I think it represents a step in a direction. It probably just depends on how you perceive it and what you allow it to catalyze within yourself, I would imagine.
Well, his life is no different than anybody else's. To the universe, his life is a mirror. And the universe reflected to him what he actually was. And the pillow of all of his argument was the Second Amendment. And it's necessary for people to die in order to ensure the Second Amendment. That was one thing he said every time he spoke, pretty much. So he put it out there and he came back to visit. I think that we're going to, so we can, I have empathy for his kid, not him. I think that he was a necessary catalyst in order to show some people for who they really are, as well as to show the people what this whole government represents. For them to send the vice president to escort his body to Arizona speaks volumes. And people is looking at why the vice president did that. It's not about that. It's not about why the vice president did it. It is a reflection of everybody in that administration. It's a reflection of America. You celebrate the poster child for racism. And Nick, I'm like so many others. I don't see it so much as a assassination because he didn't hold a political office. He was just shot. Yeah. I, and for him to talk about, say that Ketanji Brown is a DEI hire, Black women does not have the mental capacity to make decisions. And I want I have empathy for him. No. And you say, well, are you agree? Do I agree with what happened to him? Quite frankly, I don't agree and I don't disagree. It is what it is.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
yeah. And his wife, one of two things. Either she just like him or she glad he gone.
Yeah.
One of the two. I mean, think about it.
Mm.
There's no third thing to that. And as soon as they found out that it was a Trumpite who killed him, all of a sudden Trump wasn't interested in it anymore. He's not even talking about it anymore. Yet, he's still mortal. And this is not the first time, excuse me, that a bullet has served their purposes. When Trump supposedly was shot in the ear, a bullet served the purpose because he was dropping in the polls. As soon as they finished that him getting shot in the ear, his poll numbers went back up. So none that surprised me. But again, it's April. I mean, it's September rather. And I do believe that this is the month where we are going to begin seeing things differently and putting things in perspective in a different way than we have in the past. In the past, we've been like, oh my God, we need to pray for them. No, recognize it for what it is, give the universe the space to do what it does. Excuse me. And he defined his whole life. He defined who he is no differently than we define who we are. Whatever you put behind I am, that's who you are. I am sick, you sick. I'm exhausted, you exhausted. I am Elohim, you're Elohim. That's what the universe reads, isn't it? So I'm not upset. I'm not angry. I'm not jubilant. Um, as I said earlier, it just happened. And I'm sure some other people have some insight other than you and me, Nick.
I'm sure.
Well, again, Grand Rising, everyone. This is GC. I was giving some thought, in terms of the incident and being aware in terms of how it affect the masses. But I was just curious as to why there was protesters that went to HBCU schools. You know what I mean? To well, I guess protest or whatever, but I just don't understand why um, they would do that, or is there a meaning behind it more deeper than what is being portrayed?
They blame us for everything, Joe. They blame us for everything, whether we did it or not. We suffer for their sins. Think about two things. One, the people of African descent who said that they got money, they had money with when Trump was president last, and some of the HBCU presidents who said that they fared better under Trump because of the money that he had allocated for them during his presidency. And now he's taking it all back. So again, the universe responds to what you put out there. And some of the HBCUs felt like they were going to fare better under Trump because of what he did the last time. And now everything is being taken away from him. He went after Harvard because his son was not accepted in Harvard. Let's see what he go do with NYU now that his son is back at the White House. The word on the street is that he failed at Harvard. I mean, at NYU. So there are so many factors involved in this. And honestly, we as African people, we're not exempt from what we put out there to the universe, you know?
Mm.
We're not exempt.
Well,
Pastor, I
thank
have
you.
a question. If George Friend
Yes, I'm done. Go ahead.
Grand Rising family, honor to the ancestors. Pastor, did what you just said about the HBCUs, the colleges, does that also go for the black preachers that sat around the table and said, Mr. Trump, we glad you in office and blah, blah, blah? Does that pertain to them as well?
It pertains to everybody, everything. We are the mitigating force between the modern enslavement of us and what happened in the past. There has to be some mitigating force. Otherwise, things would be far worse than what they are. And I know some of the people think that they're the worst than they ever been. It can't get any worse. Yes, it can. Let me delve into that a moment, if I may. Evelyn, does that help you?
Yes, sir, it does. But
Okay.
yes, have at it.
When we look at what is taking place now, and we complain about the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court is just as corrupt as the Tanner Court was during the great Dred Scott decision. No black man has any rights that a white man is obligated to respect. They said that last week when they said that ICE had the right to stop anyone who looked Hispanic, who spoke with broken English, or who spoke a language other than English. They have a right to ask them to produce identification, which means they're talking about Haitians and other people from the Caribbean. Even if they speak English, they speak it, is different than what this English is in this country. So we are, if we are going to transform the energy, and we have done that, we're seeing the residual effects of it. That means that we have to come face to face with the Supreme Court. There's no different than the one that, 1854, I believe it was, Dred Scott decision. It's no different. The idea of troops in the streets, that's nothing new. That was done right after enslavement. It was the Union Army until what's his name, pulled them out. What's the president? Who was the president during Reconstruction? Grover? No, not Grover. What that man name? Rutherford B. Hayes. When Rutherford B. Hayes pulled them out, and then the Night Riders became the militias in the states. It's no different. So we think because we ride in cars instead of riding horses. We think because we live in houses that are more structurally sound than the ones that we lived in during enslavement. We think that because we have independent jobs as opposed to being on a plantation, that things are different, but they aren't. The energy is the same. There was a difference between the 1700s, how things looked and how people lived, and the 1800s. So now we just different than what how we lived or people lived during slavery. But the energy is the same. So our expectations of things being different, our expectations are not going to be fulfilled until we embrace the reality of who we are and be very cautious about how we speak. Because there's one thing that you cannot stop. The universe is always listening, always. And we live in a society of negativity. We live in a society that's always talking about what they don't have, what they cannot do, and how badly they feel. All of that has to change. Because Elohim does not talk about how badly it feels. Elohim does not talk about what it doesn't have, because Elohim has everything. Everything that it needs to live. Not just survive, but to live. So we have to change the energy of our words by changing our words, or the way we structure the words, I should say. And this thing with Charlie Kirk is a wake-up call. It's not just a wake-up call for white supremacists. It's a wake-up call for us also. It's a wake-up call in that it speaks to a forward movement of spirituality. We can talk about how awful it was as much as we want to. It's not going to change what the universe does in order to bring about the manifestation of change in this country, in particular in the world in general. We are experiencing a separation, not only between white people in this country, but Europeans as well, white people in Europe. We're seeing a huge separation. They're separated into clans like they were before Africans entered Europe. And that's what we're experiencing now. White people are killing each other like they did before the Moors brought civilization or attempted anyway, to bring it to Europe. They're killing each other the same way that they were. And when you look at Russia and Ukraine, what's the difference? And what it was beforehand. The only thing that's different are the weapons. That's the only thing that's different. And this time, they will not be able to go into Africa as colonialists or imperialists because the attitude of the African is different now. And the source of the African strength comes from the ancestors, as opposed to looking for strength in the barrel of a gun. The movements are different. We talk about the shamans, and we talk about the spiritualists and the various groups of people on the continent. Especially, we talk about the ones in Haiti and Louisiana. I I do not believe that everything that's happening is happening because of the universe. I do believe that there are people who are involved in this, Haitians in particular, involved in this in a different way, spiritual way. The same things that they used in order for them to free themselves from France are being incorporated now. And it was not just with weapons. It was also with the help of the universe through spirituality that these things took place. How do you think they stayed in communication? The Salazars, I think that's what his name was, stayed in communication with Toussaint Louverture, with Louverture being in France in a dungeon. How do you think they stayed in contact with each other? They didn't have a telephone. They certainly didn't have a Mac Pro. So how did they do that? They did it through our spiritual communications. So that's where we are right now. We have the advantage of being able to bring change through spiritual communications if we trust it. If we trust it. I trust it. You have to ask yourself, do you trust it? And begin to speak differently. If you do trust it, you'll catch yourself when you speak in a manner that is contrary to forward movement spiritually, and the transposing of the energy that we have repossessed from those who stole it while in Egypt. So anyway, I hope I'm making sense. If not, ask questions. I'm done. Does that make sense, guys?
It does to me. And I'm processing what you're saying. So what happened to Kurt? I saw George Floyd, the thing that happened with him, and with Malcolm. Well, George Floyd never did talk about, bringing mankind in balance. But I thought about Malcolm, who was assassinated, Martin Luther King, and all these African leaders who were assassinated. What made them think that they're different?
Well, I think Malcolm was Malcolm was assassinated for a different reason than what's put out there. Malcolm was not assassinated because of Elijah Muhammad. Malcolm could say anything he wanted to say about separating from white folks and how white people are devil, and they did absolutely nothing to him. But the moment that he went to Mecca and came back and started talking about we are one people and all of us gonna have to learn to live together. When he started a movement talking about being living in the midst of white people living in our midst. That's when Malcolm was killed. Malcolm was assassinated because Malcolm had begun to talk about the integration, not assimilation, but true integration. That's why Malcolm was killed. Because there were people, especially younger people, who were buying into what he was saying. King was killed because of the Vietnam War and the Poor People's March. King was not killed because of civil rights movement. When he started talking about the war in Vietnam and the Poor People's March, that's what got King killed. So we really have to look at the truth behind that lurks behind the scene. The thing on the surface, especially with Europeans, That Neanderthal mind never tells you what the real issue is. It's always something, the backstory that's beneath the surface. So the Creator has given us enough insight. And well, let me not say insight, please. Let me say the Creator made us aware of the Akashic consciousness. And that's where we have been getting our understandings. And that's how we are able to see beyond what we are being shown. I'm done. Ron?
Um, I'm just trying to think how to ask this question. Looking at things in just energy, look at its energy. That what happened to Kirk? Did that do anything to the Republican Party? The energy that's out there, did it shake it in any way? Because his family had a history of being Republicans, and uh, I'm just wondering, how does the ordinary Joe out there who's Republican, who's backed Trump, and does that shake anything in that regard?
I don't think it has shaken it at all. No, I'm not going to say it all. I don't think it has shaken as much as we think it would have. What I see in all of that is infighting. White people fighting white people. One of the things that Kirk talked about, in addition to all the racist tropes that he put out there, was his insistence on the release of the Epstein files. And Trump reportedly made a call to him and asked him to refrain from addressing that. And he did not stop doing it. He kept doing it. So, the family of the guy who shot him, all of them, they were Trumpites. So I see this as cavemen fighting each other, no differently than they did in Europe before they had houses or guns. There is infighting taking place, while at the same time they're making efforts to keep people of color on the fringes, or do everything they can to keep them in a state of fear. It's not working. So right now they are living in a state of chaos, even worse than the state of chaos that some of us feel like we're living in. So did it shake it? To a degree it did, yes. But it should have shaken us too. To show us that we're not in this alone. And we have no control over the universe and what comes from the universe, and how things transpire as a result of the intervention of the universe. I don't know whether I was talking in circles or not, Ron, but I didn't intend to.
I know. We're good. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Any other
I have a
questions?
question. This is Audrey. Hey, everybody. Where's the cosmic mother in all this? Because I don't know. I didn't follow Charlie Kirk. I don't really know what he was all about. But from what I've been reading, he was very much into women submit to your husband. Women don't have a voice. They shouldn't be out working. They shouldn't be doing anything but being in the house having babies. And I can understand. I don't understand how a lot of young people were buying into this, but they were more male than female, I think.
You're right.
But so where's the cosmic mother in all of this? I kind of think that the cosmic mother needed that voice silenced so some other spiritual things could happen. That's what I think.
Two parts of that. You're right. With three, actually, you're right when you say it's males, predominantly male. I do agree about him having these beliefs about women being silent and having babies and cooking meals and washing clothes, and that's it. That was his mantra. And that is the reason I said that his wife either is just like he is or glad he's gone. One of the two. Cosmic Mother. What is the role of the Cosmic Mother? When I talk about the universe, I don't see any difference between the universe and the Cosmic Mother. I don't.
Okay, yeah.
So, excuse me, whatever has been said about came from me about the universe, with Cosmic Mother in the place of the word where I use the word universe, and you have the same thing. As far as his voice, I think that that voice is silenced physically, but I think the energy of that voice is still reverberating. And the ones who's going to end the reverberation of the voice are going to be MAGA folks, because it was a MAGA person who did the shooting. And if you notice, you don't hear anything nearly anything nearly like what we were hearing when it first happened. Nancy Mace. The Dems got to own this. Democrats got to own this. This is them. This is what crazy liberals did. Nancy Mace. Until the reporter asked her, so do the Republicans own what happened in Minnesota to the Democrats? We're not talking about them. We're talking about this. We're not talking about Republicans. We're talking about what the Dems did, the role that Dems played in this, until she found out that it was one of them who did it. White on white crime. So the separation, the quieting of the voice is going to come from them by virtue of not quoting him. So in that regard, Audrey, I agree with the silencing of the voice, because without the Cosmic Mother wanting it to happen, it would not have happened. And look at what's out there. I was reading a lot of stuff on the internet about the guy who pulled the trigger, and he just didn't like Charlie. That was it, because a lot of the things that Charlie Kirk was talking about, he believed. So even though they're trying to make it, well, we don't really know about him yet. Yes, we do. Yes, we do know about him. We know more about him than he had a 4.0 graduating from high school. There are people who already scrubbed his social media pages. I'm done. I hope that helps, Audrey.
Yeah, it does.
Thank you.
Pastor, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Cosmic Mother like the grandma used to sit on the porch and she see everything that's going on in the neighborhood, even though she's sitting on the porch?
Yep.
And you keep causing ruckus. And grandma said, okay, y'all better quit, but you keep doing it anyway. And all she do is just sit back, just keep rocking on that rocking chair. And then that's when the stuff hit the fan. And it's like I told you. So is that the Cosmic Mother like that?
That's an example. That's an example, yes. We are living in spiritual times like never before. We've always lived in it, but we're more aware of it now than ever before. So our expectations should be the spiritual events that we're talking about now. our expectation should be that, because we don't know how to do this battle alone without spiritual intervention, without the intervention of the cosmic mother. We don't know how to do this. And I mean, just be honest about it. We're learning. I suggest maybe what we should do more frequently is enter meditative state for the express purpose of getting a deeper, a more clear awareness as to what it means to be Elohim. Now, when I meditate, my desires are for all of us, as well as those who are seeking, to see who they really are, become more aware of who they are, and in doing so, being made aware of the spiritual power that we have, changing our speech about what we don't have, or who is not happening, those kinds of things, and just get that clearer sense of self. You can't get a sense of self if you don't know who self is, and self is Elohim. Right?
No, I like what you said about the meditation thing. That's real. Um, I want to back you up though to something you said earlier, if you remember. Uh, when you talk about the Charlie Kirk thing episode here being a wake-up call, go over that part again. What's the wake-up call?
The wake-up call to us is that we're not in this fight alone.
Okay.
The wake-up call for them is that not only are you going to be exposed, but those things that you expose are going to be laid to rest. Charlie Kirk was shot by Charlie Kirk.
Okay.
The same energy that he expelled shot him. Charlie Kirk said, it's okay for people to be killed in order to protect the Second Amendment. So he was killed by himself.
Mm.
You see where I'm coming from? That's a wake-up call. Whether they hear it or not, or whether they wake up and see it, it's a whole different story. The question to us is, do we see it?
Yeah.
Are we astute enough to see the signs of the times as never before? And I say we are. I say that there's absolutely nothing that we are incapable of.
Can I say something, Pastor?
Of course.
I've been like for the last ever since this happened. Like I really didn't. I knew who Charlie Kirk was, but I mean, I kind of try to kind of stay away from anything that Fox News holds has at a high regard. I try to stay away from just for my own mental well-being. But I have a friend, and he's kind of I wouldn't say an anomaly, but he's a different guy, and we always joke with him because he watches Fox News, and he talks about like all the real conservative stuff, and he's an immigrant, which is ironic and crazy at the same time. And so last night he was talking about Charlie Kirk, and he was like, y'all should be upset. And I'm like, why should we be upset? And he said, because that's if they can silence him, they'll silence everybody. I'm like, no. I said Charlie Kirk died because of what Charlie Kirk put out. I said we take for granted how powerful words are. And if you spew enough, I said if you see, I said you can take it on the other end of the spectrum. Somebody who always talks about peace and love and things like that, they generally those things follow them. And I said, but if you spew hate and the things, I said, when I found out that Charlie Kirk died, I looked him up because I wanted to see exactly who he was. And the more I looked him up, the more I kind of understood, you know, and even at the moment of his, when he died, they had asked him a question about mass shooters. And they asked him how many transgender mass shooters there were. He said too many. And they said, well, what do you think the numbers are? He said, does that include gang violence? And at that very moment, they shot him. And I'm sitting there thinking, and I'm like, you know, and then his views on gun control and things like that. And then at the same time, I looked at some other videos, and he played these videos where Donald Trump was talking about that certain people ought to be shot, you know, and he was applauding Donald Trump for what Donald Trump said. And I'm like, well, these are the things that he put out into the universe, into the macro, and those things reverberate and they come back. And I mean, and I feel like when you said this is a wake-up call, I mean, not just for people who spew hate, but I think it's a wake-up call for us to be mindful of the things that we speak and realize how powerful our words are, especially us who are learning who we are and learning to walk in it, to realize the power and how powerful our words are. And that you know, if we continue to do what we're doing to not only combat the stuff that we see in the world, but you know, just speaking to anything that we see that we don't think is right, you know, that we have power to change those things, just like you have power to affect your life in a negative way. You have power to affect your life and other lives in a positive way.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I was talking to someone, well, talking to our resident nutritionist about my desire. I'm talking about Kathy, of course, about my desire to gain my weight back. And after we had spoken about that, she had sent me some information. I meditated, and then voice I heard internally says, remember everything you put behind I am, that's who you are. And I stopped saying that. I am tired. I am exhausted. I don't say that in a very short period of time, because I think we had that discussion about midweek, and I stopped saying that, and I wake up more refreshed now than I have, and I don't know when. So why is that? I'm not doing anything any differently. I was going to bed earlier 2 weeks ago. It still was the same way when I woke up. But now when I wake up, it's different. And all I did was change my approach to who I am. So instead of my saying that I was exhausted, I'm saying my body is regenerating, or I am Elohim. Elohim does not get tired. Elohim does not, it's not exhausted. And I have the impact on my body to keep this body from being so exhausted till it cannot think clearly. And I hope that that makes sense to you guys. But now I'm going to follow what I was given, what Kathy gave me, or sent me rather, in terms of weight gain. I'm gonna do that. I'm going to do, but I just want to give you an example of how powerful we are when we speak in the right way.
Yeah. Yeah, this is George. I just want to share an experience I had this morning, in my meditative time where my spirit spoke to my soul, and it's in reference to actually what you're saying, the words that we speak. And again, this morning I just said to myself, "Good morning, Elohim," and I'm talking to myself. Good morning, Elohim, and the experience or the energy that flowed from that, I was able to receive energy from the sun. I was able to appreciate not only who I am, but what is it that you desire to create, just, in that moment. And, I just thought about words of loving kindness, being able to appreciate, what energy provides to us, provided to me. And just being in that mindset, I just had a different state of mind in reference to me being able to appreciate what this day brings. So just something simple as talking to myself in a way that I can continually speak that word, knowing who I am, but more importantly, talking to myself in terms of being able to appreciate how energy flows and being able to connect with that in a way that it can give me the desires of my heart to know not only who I am, but what I have the power to do. So I just want to share those thoughts. I'm done.
Suppose, thank you, George. Suppose our repossessing the energy that was stolen. Suppose that repossessing the energy ended the hate speech. Suppose that he could not live without that energy, and when it was taken away, then the words that he spoke came back to visit him. Why do I say that? Because he was a major influence in young white people, especially young white men. And he was a key voice for hate in this country, for death in this country, one of the major voices for it. He justified murder to preserve the Second Amendment. And he used racist tropes to speak in a harsh manner about the physical representation of the cosmic mother. And we've determined no one will denigrate the African woman. Our purpose for being here is to make sure she's preserved, or it is preserved, and hers is to protect our soul. Repossession of that energy took a shield of energy that had been stolen away from him, and he was no longer protected by that energy that allows that kind of speech and attitude, those kind of feelings. A person who says that empathy is a made up thing. Suppose that's it. What do you guys think?
I wanted to say I agree, and I think it's also, as we move further into this period of transition where you could say the average vibration and the consciousness of all of humanity is sort of ramping up. That energy that was used for negativity, being repurposed for negativity in its repurposement for positivity, it creates a much shorter time between energy you put out and the energy you receive. I think another part of it is the greater speed at which your energy and attention and your words are reflected back to you. And I think for the positive, that is to accelerate this process, just so we can, heal the wound that much quicker if we are able to align our collective intention in a positive direction. And I believe that when we do that, then it has that effect. It is simply the reality that you want to live in being reflected back to you by the energy and the intention that you put out. I think that's the other half of that same phenomena.
That makes
I
sense.
have a comment. Pastor Jay.
Go ahead.
So if he stuck, and they say he was a Christian or
Go ahead,
whatever,
Ms.
right?
Evelyn.
So did he forget about where it says there's life and death in the tongue, and you live by the sword and die by the sword? I'm wondering if did he miss that part?
Let's back up. All white men who are racist never include anything that could possibly indict them. The scriptures are written the way they are written. The scriptures are interpreted the way they want them to be interpreted. So there are certain things that are not even mentioned in the scriptures by those who profess to be quote unquote Christians. And with the understanding that Christianity is a Neanderthal religion, which includes the Neanderthal thought process, that mindset of the Neanderthal only sees what is right for them. And anything that they say that about you is the truth simply because they said it. That's simply how the Neanderthal thinks. And all Neanderthal all people who think like a Neanderthal are not European. So,
Well, yeah, you told us that a while back, and which makes a lot of sense because I look at Tim Scott and all these other Scotts, and yeah, I hear you.
okay,
Everybody look like us, ain't us?
yeah. And that goes to undergird what we've said. We're not making it in our image and likeness. It has nothing to do with this skin. It has everything to do with mindset. Thank you, Evan. Ron?
Thank you.
I want to make sure I understand something that you and Nick spoke of. We've talked in the past about repurposing energy, but a few minutes ago when you spoke, and I forgot your exact words, but you said something about taking back the energy.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct? Go over that again slowly so I can understand what you're saying.
Okay. When I talked about reclaiming and repossessing the energy, when we talked about how the 10 square miles of the District of Columbia were laid out, and we talked about the energies, how the Capitol, the Jefferson Memorial, White House, etc., how they were positioned with the monument being at the center of that cross. We talked about that monument being an antenna of the energy that was appropriated in Kemet being brought to this country. The whole reason that masonry came into this country was for repurposing, for the, what is it? For the repurposing of the energy out of Kemet. Masonry is about the layout of that 10 square miles of the District of Columbia. And in that 10 square miles of the District of Columbia, there is an energy force that is comparable to the energy force that was in Kemet. And the monument itself represents resurrection as well as the antenna for energy. So the cosmic energy that was being utilized within that 10 square miles, we made a decision that we were going to repossess it. We were going to reclaim it. We were not allowing anyone who was not of an African mindset to have any power over that energy whatsoever. And I believe that we were able to get that done. And I believe that that's what we are experiencing now. Does that help, Ron?
Yes. Okay.
We are that energy. I want, let me finish my thought, okay? I want to ask you guys to be very, very cautious of how you say things about yourself and about other people. Don't talk about anything that says that you have lack. Don't talk about anything that will weaken your body. Don't talk about anything that will weaken the body of anybody around you. You know that you are I am that I am. You know that. So knowing that, that's the only way we will be speaking. And between now and this time next week, let's see how things not progressed, because this week was a progressive week. This was a progressive week, one of the most progressive weeks that we've had because of what happened during this week. Evelyn, unless there are questions about what I just said.
Well, yeah, I want to talk about what you're talking about, reclaiming the energy, because what's your name? Angela asked about, can you reclaim your energy? And I don't remember a lot of what you said, but what's the difference in what you told her and then what you just said? That's my question.
One of Angela's questions about energy was, can the African woman energy be drained from her? And I said no. As far as reclaiming energy, when we repurpose the energy or reclaim the energy from that 10 square miles, that means that the African is no longer being subservient to an energy force that was stolen. The African has become aware of the true nature of that energy and who that energy truly belongs to. So rather than fight over the minerals in the earth, we simply take the energy because it belongs to us anyway. And in doing so, we simply have reclaimed it, not just for us, but for all Africans. So
Pastor, I see what you're saying.
I don't see
it's the same thing. And yeah, I was going to say, because I've heard this before on social media about women and men reclaiming their energy back and taking it back from people who have abused them mentally, just draining them dry. So I can see that what you're saying is the same thing that Angela was talking about. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I see.
Okay. When they talk about a woman being abused, it's not talking about her reclaiming her energy as much as reclaiming self-respect. Her energy didn't go anywhere. She just did not use it. She chose to stay in that predicament because she had become comfortable in it, and she's more familiar with that abusive energy. So it takes someone or to her to realize that the cosmic mother never intended for any of us to endure such brutality and abuse, and make a decision to fight, to use the energy force that she is to free herself from that situation. The abuser has not taken her energy. The abuser has dominated her energy. Does that make sense?
It does, but I still see it as the same thing.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But the Neanderthal mindset dominated our energy by using the mechanisms that attract cosmic energy, and the mechanisms that were used in Kemet to attract cosmic energy are the same ones that was used in that 10 square miles in TC. And now we have taken it back. Why? Because those symbolic things in that 10 square miles that was utilizing that energy, now they are simply things. They are not sources anymore because we have reclaimed it. We have determined, we are Elohim. We have determined that the monument is simply a phallus, is now a landmark, is a tourist attraction. It has no energy anymore to abuse anyone on this earth. It's not going to happen anymore. If our mindset was that there's nothing we can do about this, then we don't believe that we are Elohim. We don't believe that we are the children of Akabalon. The children of Akabalon are the primary source of energy, life in this earth. And we had abdicated that. Wherever you go in, you see the phallic that looks like the monument, that represents resurrection. And that is the reason you will see it in every temple in Kemet on each side of the entrance, because it represents resurrection. Each time you go in there, you're resurrected, meaning that you are brought back to a space of remembrance in terms of who you were created to be. And so you don't go into places like that simply because it's a tourist attraction. You go into those places to experience the energy that's in those places. So those places now in that 10 square miles do not possess the energy that it once did, because I am the source of that energy. And you can say the same thing. I am the source. Therefore, I have opportunity, I have authority to remove it from that place. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you. Does that make sense to you? Anyone else?
That's powerful, and maybe we should. I'm not big on affirmations or anything like that, but that's powerful, and I think there may be something we can consider, making statements like that or saying those kind of things to ourselves so we can really see and understand who we are. Because when you say it that way, it takes on a different feeling in me.
Yeah.
you know. But
Thank
yeah.
Yeah.
Pastor Rick, this is Angela. I think the question that Evelyn was talking about was when I was asking the question I had asked about when you calling back your power from every person, place, or thing that no longer serves you. The question, I think that might be the question that I did ask you, text you about the one about the drain, the energy,
Yeah.
but it was another one that I had asked. I think that's what she might be talking about.
Yes, Angela, it was the first question that you had brought to him.
Okay, say that question again, Angela.
Is when I asked, calling back your energy from every person, place, or thing that no longer serves you your purpose, because the energy that you put out through these person, places, or situations, you need that energy, for yourself. And I was seeing videos of people who was calling back that energy from, from every person or place or whatever it was, or argument or conversation where your energy is focused on that thing all day to the point that you realize that you need your energy, for yourself. That was the question that I asked.
You have an inexhaustible source of energy. And you become aware that the source is your energy. The cosmic mother is the source of your energy / universe, source of your energy. When that is the source of your energy, then you don't have to even consider calling it back up. Why? I don't want energy back. I don't want it. I have given money to people who I felt in my soul I needed to give it. They were begging. And my energy attached to that paper was for it to benefit the person regardless of what the person would desire to do with that money. And I've had, and I can call the name of the persons and you would know them, who were on drugs. And the drugs they bought with the money they couldn't even get high from the drugs. So I don't want my energy back. I don't put energy out there to reappropriate it. If your energy is for the benefit of righteousness, then it doesn't matter. Why would you call it back? I've never read about somebody calling it back. I've never seen that happen. But I have no desire or thoughts about energy coming back, because the only reason people usually wanted to come back is because the person who they think they gave their energy to hurt them. And forgiveness deals with all that, if that makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Now I agree. Since you clarified that, Pastor Jay, that makes sense. Thank you. Thank you, Angela, for bringing that question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for agreeing. God Almighty.
This is Angela. I was going to say that, yeah, it does make sense, because we're saying that we don't have any lack. So yeah, it does make sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Most of the stuff we carry around with us, with a desire to reclaim something, is because of our mindset. If you are Elohim, why would Elohim ever want to take energy from someone who Elohim simply imparted it to? When he talks about imparting energy or healing by the laying on of hands, It's simply talking about you having the authority to do that. That's what it's talking about. I don't have to lay physical hands on you to bring spiritual healing to you. When I say I got it, and itself says that I have the authority to deal with whatever you're trying to contend with. Does that make sense? Anyone else?
I think you mentioned forgiveness within that conversation. Can you talk about the perhaps distinction between forgiveness and what we think of as either withdrawing or sending out energy?
You finished it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Ron?
I'm just thinking. My thought was on another direction, so go ahead with that one if you don't. I'm just thinking.
I think we've spoken about it to the extent that people are understanding it with a greater clarity.
Pastor, I think Nick asked you a question.
Oh, Nick, you asked me a question.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was wondering if you could explain more that distinction between forgiveness, as you mentioned it, and the
Okay.
sending out or withdrawing of energy.
The distinction between the two is that forgiveness handles everything about your energy that's necessary in terms of what in relationship to what someone has said or done that's contrary to your dignity or humanity. Sending energy out, recouping energy, that kind of thing, is totally foreign to forgiveness. Why? Forgiveness is about bringing balance to you and the one and the perpetrator. The idea of calling energy back, sending energy out, the yo-yo effect is what's coming to my mind. The yo-yo effect doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. When questions like that come to your mind, ask yourself, what would Jesus, nah, I'm messing with you. What would Elohim do? Would Elohim do that? If the energy that someone has received from you through interaction or whatever, you know that you're Elohim. So there's no such thing as imparting energy to someone that is negative. So only the human, only the Christian mind, only the Neanderthal mind will want to take it back. So that's one of those Christian things that we need to separate ourselves from. Because what is good and righteous, we should never want to take it from anyone. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Pastor, on the heels of that, I have a question then.
Uh-huh.
I think I have a question, or maybe it's a statement. I'm not sure. Let me think. Basically, when you're talking about energy, what does energy do? Energy has the power to create. And if I have been loving kindness to you and you've been horrible to me, and I recover who I am and walk away from that, if I take my creative energy from you, you would never have an opportunity to change, would you? If my desire for you is for you to change and to see who you are, so you can stop the offensive behavior that has made me, I mean, in what circumstance would I want to take that energy back? Because if I am loving kindness and that's what I gave you, and that energy is still there working on your heart, that energy has an opportunity to change you from where you are into what you have the potential to be. But if I take that energy away from you, would I not be condemning you to a permanent state of mind of where you are with no hope for changing? Because, you know, it sounds really religious to say, I'm going to take that energy from you, which that is what it is, religion. But I guess my question would be, if you think about it spiritually and logically, there would be no need, because if we took it back, individuals would not have opportunity to change, if I'm seeing that correctly.
You said it
So
correctly.
am I seeing that correctly? Okay.
Yes, you are. That's why the macros up. I mean,
Hello, this is Shell. Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead, Professor.
Remember when earlier today, DC and Pastor Richard mentioned I am also anything that follows.
Your voice is distorted. Sheldon, your
Can't
voice
hear
is
you, Sheldon.
Okay. I'll continue. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. Sorry. I'll be back. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
While Sheldon is coming back, can I add something or say something? Kathy made a very important statement in the middle of her explanation, though. She said, my desire is for you to be loving kindness too. So even if she physically leaves, that desire and that energy is still there, is it not?
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
When you get ready, Sheldon. Well, I guess he's not back on yet.
Well,
Go ahead.
this conversation about energy kind of brings me back to the Charlie Kirk situation, because I saw a headline this morning where his wife says she's going to continue on with whatever, and that people don't realize what they've unleashed. But I guess my question is, can we influence the energy around her so that it doesn't go off in this continued negative direction?
Yes, we can. And we are doing it. And she might be doing it so they keep paying her. So they can keep taking care of her, you know?
True. True.
Yeah, because the moment she says that I did not agree with him, they done with her.
Can I add something, sir?
Sure.
I thought about what Miss Kathy said about the energy that you put out there. And when she said it, I kind of thought about that, you know, that great grandmother or that wise person in the community that looks at that problematic child that some people may have given up on, and they say, I see something on this person. This person is going to change things, is going to make things better. And they keep speaking those positive words over them. Even the one that Mr. Ron talked about with the community, when there's an issue, the elders get around this person and just speak words over them. Had that grandmother or those elders not said anything or just took those words back, it's almost like they're robbing themselves as well as robbing that person and those that come after them.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm that problem child, girl. Yeah.
I was gonna say that, but it wasn't my
We all
place.
know that.
You go say it, but Mama said it before you, right? Sheldon, you back?
I am.
Thank you, Mama.
Myra just touched on something as well. Everyone can hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Okay. Earlier today when they were saying I am, and then anything follows, that is what, you know, one in a sense cultivates. Well, the same thing happens for anyone outside of us who we may have not forgiven. So if we think of ourselves, there's actually a misconcept to actually think that you're calling your energy back. We always have energy. We're always creating, no matter even if we think that we are not creating. Even to think that we are completely powerless is to create the conditions with our energy of being powerless and in a sense not of being in control. So with us always creating with energy, that is done so through whatever that we feel very strongly about, which is very dear to us, which we are extremely passionate about. And anything can fall under that in terms of the things that we actually concentrate on deeply, those things that we feel very deeply about. So in the same way, yes, we can have things and people can quote unquote trespass against us. And in a sense, we have a choice, or when we forgive or not forgiving, what we're actually essentially doing is we're taking that, when we do forgive, we're taking that imbalance and we're basically turning it around and purifying it, and we're emanating outwards nourishment, the opposite of that. Or what can happen, and this is when it was lightly given in terms of the yo-yo effect, right? Whatever it is that we actually push out towards others or how we interact towards them, not only do we push that out, but we actually or in a sense, we're making that same thing, right? So the idea that if I have disdain for Pastor Richard, in order for me to cultivate that disdain, I must do it within myself. So in a sense, I am producing poison to go towards him. Guess where the vessel is that's holding that poison? It is me. I cannot push that poison towards him without it being with me. Matter of fact, I'm actually creating it in me, myself first. And it's doing far more damage than me than it will ever do to him. Now, at the same time, I can deal with that, process that particular thing or whatever, and I can, in a sense, create a balance or nourishment to actually, the word I'm looking for, basically overcome or get rid of that which has come towards me. I purify in a sense, and now I'm pushing that out into the world. But we are always pushing something into the world. Again, it's not so much that we're calling our energy back, more so that we're taking a positive control over our energy. But the energy is always there. It is impossible. You exist. Not only do you exist beyond your body. You exist beyond this dimension. The idea of you losing your energy is not possible whatsoever. It is your complete life force. I'm finished.
Everywhere you go, every space that you enter, your energy goes with you. How aware are you of that power that you possess or that you are? I remember being in Columbia at Pastor Wittenberg's church. And while I was there, this force, seemingly everyone in there felt this force at the same time. And the building was huge, but about the size of a Walmart building. And we were up front. And when all of us turned at the same time, it was Bishop Edie Hoser entering that building. And the power of his presence was so strong until tears flowed. And I had never experienced that kind of power that emanated from him at that time. Now, since that time, I have experienced it after that, but prior to that, I had never experienced that before. So what am I saying to you? He was very much aware of what he believed. He was very much aware of his spiritual nature, and that that power in that he knew about himself was a force that everyone could feel or could sense or experience, even though he was a great distance from us. So what I'm saying is that that's how your energy is. That's who you are, and you can't call yourself back from somebody because that energy is there, and the emanation of that energy is because of your desire to bring balance to humanity. And the more aware you are of it, the stronger the presence of it is. When you walk in a space, you change the atmosphere, you enhance the atmosphere. And that enhancement is experienced by those around you. And that is one of the reasons when we feel we should fill a space, we should do that, as opposed to saying, I don't know whether I want to go there or not. If you know that you are supposed to be in that space and you do it, every time that happens, something changes. And I became more aware of that, of what was happening, rather, when I used to remember into this housing project where that was wrought with drugs. And 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm going in to get someone, and I walk in, and eventually I was told, if you come to get so-and-so, just let us know and we'll go get him, because you messing up our high when you walk in here. I mean, it was like they weren't high any longer. So I'm saying to you, the same thing happens with us, but are you aware of it? Do you want to be aware of it? Do you truly embrace that you're Elohim? You can't go any place knowing who you are without your energy, the presence of your energy being experienced by your presence. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm done. George?
No, I didn't have a comment.
Oh, okay.
Well, so my question again then is, and then based on what Sheldon said, can we change the energy around that lady, or does she have to want it to change?
We are in a space now where we can override that energy, meaning that when we repurpose the energy from that's 10 square miles in DC, when we reclaimed it, we reclaim all the energy that was being used for the purpose of the people, the Neanderthal mindset. So yes, as a matter of truth, why don't we do this? Why don't we influence it? Just do it. As of right now, we are influencing that energy. She will not be able to do what he did because the energy that allowed him to do that does not exist for them anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she can keep getting the check,
Okay.
but she's not going in. Nicholas?
She can keep doing what, Pastor?
Or she can keep getting her check from them. But the impact of the energy is not going anyplace. It's not going to harm anybody. She's not going to be able to do it.
So my question becomes, if we are not to shape anything and she has free will, what we're doing by changing the energy around her, it goes back to the example Evelyn used earlier, the grandmother on the porch. She's going to have many opportunities to have her heart changed.
But whether or not she chooses to stay in that place, that's going to, and have that same mindset, that's up to her. But what we just changed is the influence that she will have, even if she stays in that mindset. Am I saying that correctly? Because
Isn't that correct?
are we not shape? We're not trying to shape it, but we're standing our ground as who we are. Am I saying that correctly, or help me to see it? Speak on it a little further, please.
What we are doing is something that we've always had the power to do. And that is, we are creating an environment where her words will not have an impact on the people to whom she's speaking to. Neither will it have an impact on anyone who reads or hears what she says. The impact is gone. Cosmic Mother says it's time for you guys in this bodily form to realize what you did when you reclaimed that energy that had been stolen. What you did is became aware of the authority that you have with this energy. The authority you have with this energy, first of all, is to protect humanity from negativity or from death itself. Meaning, I'm not talking about physical death, from words that have damaged the esteem of humanity. So when you ask if we are saying that she will not have an impact, absolutely. Are we shaping things? No. Shaping things would be determining what the overall outcome is going to be. However, knowing that we are Elohim, we are in control of that energy because that's under our authority. And when the scripture talks about these men who wanted to buy this energy from Peter, and Peter said, "To hell with you and your money." This energy cannot be sold. This energy cannot be appropriated by those who don't have the authority to appropriate it anymore because of our reclaiming it. We are simply saying that we are placing spiritual bubble there. We are simply saying that you can talk all you want, but the power to influence, like Charlie Kirk did, is not within your purview. It's not within your authority. It's not going to happen. Does that make sense, Kathy?
I think so. I just want to be clear on one thing. When you say not shaping the outcome, we are just saying this is what we are not allowing, how it plays out. We're not saying, oh, and it's going to look like this, but we are saying we put into this today, and now we just sit back and watch how it plays out. So that's the difference in not shaping the outcome.
Right, because
Correct.
it's going to have an effect. Her words won't, but the fact that she's saying them, they are going to have an effect. The effect that they have, we don't know what it's going to look like. Right, you're absolutely right. But I do
Okay.
that
Thank you.
that the greater effect is going to be on people who think like she thinks. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Why are we talking about this? Why is it so important that we talk about this energy? Why is it that a reprobate mind, the death of it, has put us in a place where we are talking about energy in this manner? Why? Because the energy, the words that Charlie Kirk spoke was the voice of the Neanderthal mindset, period. They can say that he was a peon. They can say that Trump knows were using him. Anything they want to say, they can say it. But one thing they cannot say is that they used him because he was ignorant enough, bold enough to say what they wanted to say. And he was influencing another generation by saying what he was saying. And that is cut off now. So we are talking about this because it gives us a better understanding, a clearer understanding what it means to be Elohim. It also gives us a history with the power that we are, so that when we address other things, we can look at those things that have come to fruition that we have addressed. We talked about the month of September would see chaos. There were going to be some catastrophic things that take place. Well, we experienced one last week. And we may as well understand that, or embrace the reality that we are going to experience more. How are we going to experience more? I don't know. And Kathy, that would be trying to shape things if I were trying to say how it's going to look, you know?
Yeah, I understand. It makes sense.
So here we are. And this is probably the last thing I'm going to say unless there are questions. Today, we have been guided by our ancestors to reiterate who we are and be reminded of the authority that we have because of who we are. Knowing that this is a Kabbalah, no different than any other place on earth. This section of a Kabbalah where we are has been set aside as a tip of the spear, a vanguard for the balance of humanity. Because by virtue of that 10 square mile section of the district, the energy within that parameter has controlled and manipulated the world ever since George Washington and the rest of the boys put that into action. And it is much more powerful and effective for us to be in the midst of this sector of a Kabbalah, the Garden of Eden, the place where life is created. It's more effective for us to be in this sector because life as humans has known it is now walking death. And the revitalization of that life can only come when we truly embrace we are Elohim, because that grants us the authority to create in our image and likeness. And the more that we create in our image and likeness, the more experiences we have with who we are, the more we embrace it, the more we control what we say, the stronger it becomes. The stronger we become in terms of mitigating the circumstances that were created by that Neanderthal mindset in this sector. Regardless of what anyone say, the Neanderthal mindset in this sector that's called America has controlled the world ever since its existence. And now that we realize what has been going on and who we are, that control does not exist anymore. There is no authority in their possession that grants them the power or the privilege to do anything except dissolve the structure that they have put in place to support racism and all other isms that are detrimental to humanity. That can no longer exist. It can no longer grow. The demise of it is at hand right now. And we must stay the course. Our priority is humanity. Our priority is not us as individuals, it is humanity. And the burden of humanity is on our shoulders because we have chosen to follow this pathway that has been laid before us. We have sacrificed or given up everything for this. We have been ridiculed because we have chosen this pathway. We have separated ourselves from so many of the things that we were taught in this society in order for us to be purified, to be cleared, to be made aware of, to have our eye opened, and clear. We have this for the purpose of humanity. So I leave you with that and these words. When you meditate, focus on I am Elohim. I'm done.
Thank you, sir.
Pastor
And-
Rich, this is Ed. I had a question. Is do you think that his name is what is it? Tucker Carlson was that man the replacement? You know, because at one time Tucker, I think his name Tucker Carlson had started out with was like lobbying behind Trump. Then he kind of like lowered in this other guy, but I just recently found out about the one that just got killed.
Okay. Tucker Carlson is opportunist. Whatever he can get an audience for, that's what he talks about. It doesn't matter. He is no different than the society is in terms of racism, bigotry, etc. That's who he is. He doesn't do it for the money. Because Tucker Carlson, from what I understand, is an heir to the Swanson food family. So he's filthy rich. So he's not doing it for the money. However, I want us to also remember, though we attach name to Charlie Kirk, though we attach name to Tucker Carlson, though we attach name to Trump, we're not talking about the people. We're not talking about the image that we see on TV. We're not talking about the image that is written about. We are talking about the energy that they are making every effort to put in the macro for the control. So, Angela, the images are not the danger. The energy that they had prior to us doing what we've done, that's what the danger was. It's no longer existing there, though they're fighting to be who they were. They can't do it because of who we are. I hope that helps you answer. And the rest
Yes,
of
that makes sense.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Um, I have a thought. We're approaching 2 hours, so maybe I'll save it for next session. Any other thoughts or questions though before we move on, before we close? George, did you have your hand up earlier?
Yeah, I was gonna respond when Pastor was talking, on the subject energy. It makes me think about when we say energy, we talk about the eternal waters. And what I was giving thought to is in terms of looking at energy that is like dormant, that is, like static, is just at rest. And what I'm feeling today in terms of looking at it as we now look at kinetic energy, where it's like the ocean where it's just calm, but now there's that kinetic energy, that's energy that's, coming together, that's creating um that vision for us being able to see again the manifestations of our collective energy.
Mm.
So I'm seeing it in a way where, for a while we may not have been like stagnant individually or energy just at rest, but there's something that's manifesting now where there's, that energy that's coming together kinetically, which is all part of just, the kinetic teachings when we talk about um, the primate of essences when it comes to um, just some of the spiritual insights that we've had in the past. I'm done.
Yeah, I see what you said as we are the rapids beneath the calm sea. We are the what you call it? Not the rapids.
Hurt.
I'm sorry, the Kasha.
Yeah, the current beneath this calm motion. It's calm on top,
Mm-hmm.
but it's churning beneath that calmness. And that's what we are. It looks on the surface like nothing is happening. But beneath that ocean that you mentioned, the waters, everything is taking place.
Yeah.
That's what the battle
Pastor,
is.
is that the same thing as Aretha Franklin singing "Still Water Run Deep"?
Oh my God, Evelyn, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Okay.
It is still waters run deep, means that all the waters are settled, but it's deep. What we're talking about is, excuse me, the currents that beneath the surface of the smooth water that George mentioned is churning. I'm trying to think of the word that when you are not allowed to go into the water because of the riptides. Beneath that calmness, I saw riptides, George, when you were speaking.
Yeah, the wavicles. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks like nothing is happening and they are having their way, but that's not what's happening. That's what I see. We don't have to have a marquee to be effective.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say when Charlie Kirk's wife said, "We don't know what you're about to unleash" or whatever. That is, I believe, characteristic of that mindset's sort of ignorant projection or being ignorant of the true context within which they exist. Because the thing that has been unleashed is the thing that happened to Charlie Kirk. It is the energy that can no longer be used for those purposes.
Right. Ron, we are going on 2 hours, but I want to say this. There are times when we are going to be on for half an hour. And there are times when we're going to go beyond what we are accustomed to. And the reason is because we are in a crucial time and we don't know how we're going to be guided. Does that make sense? And I do agree because I get kind of antsy when we start approaching a couple of hours.
Yeah.
I get kind of antsy, and that's because of what we are accustomed to in the past, you know? So people are going to drop off because they have other things to do. However, putting it in the macro is important, okay?
There was something I wanted to say, and we touched on it earlier, but Nick just brought it back. And I want to say this, what his wife said, I'm looking at it from a different perspective. We have said in the past that Black people didn't start racism. We didn't start that. And if you look at this thing, what happened, it would have been different if it had been a person of color. Not even a Black man, but anybody of color. It would have been different if it had been a female. But this was done by a European male who has been groomed to be a Republican and was following that blueprint to a T until this happened. So when she says she doesn't, what has been unleashed, I see it as something positive. Maybe this has something to do with that particular mindset being abruptly ended. And maybe it has something to do with the male mind of the European taking a pause to see who it really is and what it really stands for and what it believes in. That's how I'd rather look at it, and not as something that is going to invoke further violence. Does that make sense?
It does. So which one do you want?
What do you mean?
You said it could be. Which one do you want? When you say, what do you want it to be? It's going to.
I'm saying that the fact that this was done by a Republican, someone from his own party. So who is it that they can be angry with? You can't aim your wrath on someone else because it was done by someone that you have raised up to be the next generation Republican, the next generation to think like you think. That's what I'm saying.
I deplore the violence involved. The only thing that mitigated the violence in a way with them was because of the energy that they were using. Now that they have no energy of the African, the only thing they have is the mindset that they have followed for generations. Though I wish it would not be violent, I think it's going to be more violence between them. I do. I think white on white violence is going to increase. The words that have always been spoken by white men is that violent crime only exists because of Black people. Black on Black crime and Black crime towards white people, that kind of thing. There are some things that has to be revealed. And unfortunately, one of those revelations is showing the world, especially Black people in this country, the source of violence. And that source of violence would be towards each other more so than the unaliving of people who look like us. Are we their target? Yes. It's difficult for you to hit your target when those behind you are shooting you. So I do believe that there is going to be some ugliness between that European mindset, more so than accomplished rather. Even though it's directed, it won't be accomplished like they think it will. towards people of color. Does that make sense, Ron?
Yeah. That's kind of what the direction I was trying to go. I guess I didn't say it plainly.
No, that's fine. Let's go. So buckle up, Buttercup. We are at the space where we're supposed to be, and ugliness has just begun to raise its head. I was done, boss.
Anyone else? Questions, comments? Good discussion. Good discussion. Well, I hope you have a great day. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your comments and questions, and look forward to tomorrow morning. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Have a
guys.
great day.
All right, take care, family.
Much
Thank you.
love. Thank you.
Everyone, bye.